and welcome to Let's Talk About It with Taylor Nolan. I am your host, and I really don't want to postpone getting into this episode for very long because I'm so excited about this guest. I literally slid into her DM on Instagram, and she's the host of Vox Media's Consider It. She covers so many things in the political world today and tackles so many different social justice issues. She's honestly amazing, and this will be my first conversation with her ever, but I'm so excited for it. So with all of that said, welcome, Liz, to the show. I'm so excited to have you here via FaceTime.
I love you so much. I admire you so much. I'm honored to have even been asked to be on your show, so I'm excited for us to chat.
Oh, you're so sweet. My favorite was like when I DM'd you and was like, yeah, I'd love to have you on the show. Your response was like, oh my God, yes, I fucking love you.
Yeah, I screenshotted that. I was like, I can't even believe. You're so cool. And your presence on, The Bachelor, but also just like in general, in the world is so important. So I'm here for it. Yeah.
You're so sweet. Yeah. I didn't even know. I was surprised because at first I was like, oh, is she just saying that because like she's followed my page and likes what I say? Like I didn't even think that you knew like who I was from the show or anything like that. So that was a surprise to me, but a wonderful one. So thank you.
Of course.
Yeah. So basically I slid into your DM because
so beautiful.
I know.
It's the best slide into the DMs I've ever experienced.
Amazing. I slid in because you cover this amazing stuff as the host of Vox Media. You do this show called Consider It, and you really cover such a wide range of things when it comes to social justice and our political state currently. And so I'm curious how you kind of got into doing all of this.
Oh my God, yeah. So I actually have a master's in gender and social policy. So wow. I was always really into. I'm like a women's studies major. Yeah. I was always into ladies and our rights, and and then I thought I would sort of end up working in government or doing like a boring policy job. Or I was actually really interested in maybe pursuing a career in social work. But then I started a petition in 2012. It was like the 2012 Olympics in London, and I was working there and studying there, and they wanted to force female boxers to wear skirts.
What?
And it was nuts. And female boxing had never even been a discipline before 2012 at the Olympics. And the reason that they gave was because they wanted to be sure that women could be differentiated from men and be elegant. Like they actually use the word elegant.
Oof.
And so I was boxing at the time, and I just do a lot of, I love sports. And
good
so,
for you.
And I've always done sports. And so I was like, I can't believe, I tweeted it to my 14 followers. But then, we started a petition with change.org, and it went viral, and I was getting calls from the BBC and the Independent, and everyone was covering the story. And then the decision ended up being overturned. And that's when I was I just saw the power of social media and how crucial it was, and that the internet wasn't just something that I could just do for fun. It could be something that I could use to
make an impact.
See the change I want to see in the world. And so I started writing and blogging, and then moved to New York the following year and started as an intern at Mike, which was very small at the time. And then, started covering politics in 2016, and then the rest is kind of history.
You covered The Bachelor of 2016.
Oh my God. So your season literally got me through 2016. I don't even know what I would have done. I actually, at Vox Media, we did a whole show. Every week we did a recap of the show for SB Nation. And I had a whole theory about how Corinne was basically Trump. We were able to understand the Trump phenomenon through Corinne.
Yeah.
And then Vanessa was naturally Justin Trudeau, just the sweetest, nice Canadian, good French Canadian. And then you were Obama. You were just here to the voice of reason. What the hell?
Yeah.
I don't even understand. You were explaining what gaslighting was. You were explaining all of the processes, and we could trust you as like a voice of reason in this total chaos. So that was my theory. Yeah.
It's so wild. I remember even actually while we were filming, and some of my ITMs, like the confessionals that you do with the producer that I was close with, we literally had conversations where it was like, I feel like I'm dealing with like a Trump almost. And where it there were literally comparisons in my ITM pre 2-on-1 of like, is Trump going to win or like, is Hillary going to win? And I was like, well, Trump's definitely not going to be our next president. So of course, like, I'm not going to go home on this 2-on-1. And then when I got home, I was like, I should have known Trump was going to win the presidency because Corinne won the 2-on-1.
Yeah. That's so true.
It was wild. So and I think there was like one article that I might have seen while the show was airing that kind of like compared it to our political climate. But I remember I felt so alone in that and was just like, what? Like, how does no one understand this? So it's so funny to hear that you had covered it too and kind of made some of those analogies. I mean, to Obama, like, wow, the biggest compliment I've ever received. But
no, 100%. And do you think that, because you've obviously seen this kind of like personality, right? Trait, and like this person is all over the place. But do you think that we are living through a time where like these people would have been shunned otherwise, but now they are kind of winning? Like, do you think that we're going through a weird thing? I think
it's because from afar they're entertaining. And so unfortunately, in some ways, they end up being put up on a pedestal because it's entertaining, it's funny. But when you're up close and personal with that, it's not at all funny. And so I think it's unfortunately reinforced within our society, some of those behaviors, because it has this entertaining piece to it.
Right. And again, we don't think these people are going to win, right? We're like, oh no, this person's like crazy, but then like it gets rewarded. Yeah. And I think that's what's changing, right? Like instead of getting shunned, they're getting rewarded for that kind of stuff. Yeah. It's
wild. And I can't believe you had covered it like that. It just cracks me up.
I took it very seriously. It was the best season by far.
And then, so during that, you were already kind of working with Vox Media and had Consider It already started?
No, so Consider It had not started. Divided States of Women was not even, a thing yet. And so, it was this weird, sort of moment after the election where I think a lot of media companies didn't know what to do, like how to cover this. And so I think it was good. Like Vox took a breath and like took a minute. And so I didn't actually produce videos for a couple of months right after, which was difficult given what was happening. Yeah. But and then I got the idea for Divided States of Women with my friend Heatha. She's conservative, but like didn't vote for Trump and was just like, and we were just, wow, like women are so, I mean, obviously it's clear for a lot of people forever that women in the United States have very different perspectives on things. But I wanted to make a show that hopefully could try and like explore those differences and the multifaceted ways of being a woman and what that means. So Divided States of Women was created and it lasted for a year. It was really fun.
And so I've gone back and like looked at some of the stuff that you guys did on that page, and there's some super wonderful things you guys did. One of my favorites, I'm pretty sure it was on Divided States and not Consider It, was about the women versus men hygiene products, like how there's not like a hygiene aisle for like men.
Oh my God. I wanted to do that.
Hit home so hard. I was like, oh my God, like that's insane.
Yes. Right? I mean, for so long, I remember just standing in a Walgreens and being like, female hygiene. Interesting that we have our own aisle. Yeah. When men's junk does not smell better than ours. Like, to say the least.
And
right?
men are like typically, stereotyped as these like sweaty, like stinky, like, they're working all day and they're sweaty and stinky.
Right. And they don't have an aisle. And then I started really doing the research and realizing that not only do, only women have this aisle, but also most of the products in that aisle are really bad for you.
Yes. Very unnecessary.
Very unnecessary. And talking to a gynecologist, this woman said the number one myth that I have every single day in, my office when women come in is that they think that their vagina needs cleaning. Yeah. And it's an auto cleaning. It is self-cleaning. You don't have to add things. You don't have to put sprays.
Yeah.
And actually that's what fucks it up. And then it gets stinky.
Yep.
Then it gets like, okay. Yeah. When it's like filled with bacteria and you need to treat it.
Yeah. Yeah. And even just the fact that I was just having this conversation last night actually with a friend, how like sanitary products for women that we need are taxed as like luxury items, which is,
oh my God, ridiculous.
So upsetting.
Right. When you see a tampon, like the cardboard applicator, you're like, that's a luxury item. You know, like it is the opposite of a luxury. And I just think if men had their periods, if everyone had their periods, it would just be like toilet paper. Do you realize that women who are in prison had to pay for their sanitary products, and very often they weren't even available to them? Like, isn't that just inhumane?
I mean, I only know that through your page because I just watched that recently. Where like I had already kind of like known a little bit from like watching, you know, the different like prison documentaries and stuff. But yeah, I watched that on your page recently where I was like, that's absurd.
It is, right? And it's just, I mean, we're slowly, you know, coming, I think, to realize all of these issues slowly, but just how far we have left to go is like,
Okay, it's that time in the show where we take a little bit of a break now to share with you guys one of my favorite sponsors of the show. And this one in particular has been very helpful for me because, as you guys know, I'm not the smartest when it comes to numbers, which means I'm not super educated when it comes to finances. And there's so many different blogs and websites out there that give you information on like how to handle your finances, but it can be really hard to actually find one that is trustworthy. So On Your Own is actually a personal finance blog that provides free and unbiased information that literally anyone can understand, even me. It's written by personal finance experts from the National Endowment for Financial Education. So like, you know, they know what they're talking about. The NEFE is actually the leading nonprofit national foundation dedicated to inspiring empowered financial decision making for individuals and families. So the blog covers a wide range of topics, including how to choose a credit card, which like is very stressful to do, how to start investing, which like when you have the money to do that, good for you. And also what to do like if your identity is stolen, which is really scary and hopefully doesn't ever happen to you. The blog only links reputable resources, so they're all things you can trust, and your personal finance questions can also be answered on the blog or by one of their resources. You guys should check out onyourown.org/Taylor to learn more. It's honestly a great free resource. Again, it's free, that will empower you to make better financial decisions by people you can actually trust. That's onyourown.org/Taylor. And we thank them for sponsoring the podcast. So thank you so much, On Your Own. And I hope you guys check them out, and good luck making these tough decisions. So with all of that, now we can kind of get back to the show and get back to our topic. Is there, I mean, I always hate when I get asked questions like this, but I'm going to ask you it anyway. Do you have like a favorite or like one that really stuck out to you of like all the kind of pieces that you've done, which are so many, and I'm sure there's many of them, but is there anyone that like really challenged you or like just really opened up a whole new world for you?
Yeah. I mean, I love so many of the people, everyone that I've interviewed. And I feel passionate about so many episodes. I think the one in Divided States of Women, what's a tie? Okay. There's 2 episodes. One of them was, sorry, I can't choose. It's like choosing.
No, it's okay. It's a terrible question, honestly. I hate when people make me choose like that. I'm like, I don't know.
It's so hard. So we did an interview. I love, worked with people with disabilities back in Montreal. Very passionate about that as an issue. I'm very obsessed with the fact that there's hardly any representation of people with disabilities in the media, in newsrooms, and that their issues really get covered. And so we decided to cover like entrepreneurship, and and we interviewed Colette, who has literally the coolest business. It's a cookie business, and she has Down syndrome, and she employs 2 people and wants to grow her business to employ people with disabilities. And she, I kid you not, makes the best cookies in the world. Like they're just so good. And she has so much attitude. It was great. So I tried to keep up with her. I helped her out in the kitchen for that one episode. And I think the other one that I was really passionate about was an episode about sexual assault, right? You know, when the Me Too movement was sort of at its, not crisis point, but like where it was the most elevated in that conversation. And I got so sick of being on so many panels on MSNBC, on CNN, and watching TV, watching all of the all-female panels talking about how we're going to stop sexual assault when men are the perpetrators of most of sexual assault and they are the victims, right? Yeah. And so I decided to do a whole episode where I was like, I'm going to talk about sexual assault and I'm not going to talk to a single woman. Like I'm only going to talk about men. And so we went to school in New Jersey and talked to these like amazing young boys who founded a feminist club and who, you know, understand all this stuff in victim culture more than many more adults than I've spoken to. And yeah, it was just, those two episodes just like gave me, you know, it's like restored your faith in humanity. It was very like solution based journalism, which is something that I'm very passionate about.
Yeah. Oh, that's so sweet. I don't think I've watched that one, so I will have to go and find that one to watch.
Oh my God. I mean, you've watched so much.
I know. I really have. Honestly, I've just like gone back and scrolled and I'm just like watching them all because they're really great.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, produced really well. Like you're a fantastic host. If you guys listening haven't checked it out, I'm going to put the link for it in the episode notes so you can definitely check it out. I'm curious for you how, like, I can imagine that there have been parts of feminism and even our, you know, society and political climate that I've, like, had to challenge you and your own beliefs. And there was a TED Talk where a woman was speaking about feminism and how, I forget her name, but was sharing how she'd had a moment where she was like, you know, they were getting ready to fly and she was about to take off. And then she had saw the pilot and realized it was a woman. And for a split second, she had this thought of like, oh shit, I hope she knows what she's doing. But was oh, I would never have that thought if I saw that it were a man pilot. And like, shit, you know, I have to like check myself on that. Yes. I'm curious for you if you've had any kind of like moments like that.
Yeah, that's so funny. We actually interviewed her for one of our episodes. About unconscious bias.
Yes.
And she's incredible. And yeah, like, I mean, that episode was so, it was basically like, check your unconscious bias because you might not think you're, you know, I'm not a racist. There's no way that I have taken on any of these biases that we have in our culture. And like, most likely that's not true. And also most likely you benefited from racism if you are a white person. And that is something that is like, you know, that we don't talk enough about. And so, yeah, I've had so many moments, you know, I'm writing a book about men right now. And I think that has just been one of the biggest tests of ensuring that my feminism is empathetic and compassionate. That even though because the first draft of the book, I will, you know, it was like a man, you know, it's called How to Be a Man, A Woman's Guide. And I was going to tell men everything that they're doing wrong and how they need to be better. And so many women were like, yeah, I need that book. They need a guidebook, blah, blah. And I actually rewrote the entire book because I was like, this is like, it's not about me. And even though I've been hurt by men, even though I have people that I love who have been hurt by men. This is about, we have to talk about their pain and what kind of culture we've created that turns like good men or good boys into bad men, right? Or who lead them to do bad things. And that has been an amazing journey for me. It was really hard to sort of confront all of that pain and be able to, but be able to listen and not just talk. So yeah, but it's important. That's where you learn the most, right? When you're like uncomfortable, you're like, oh, okay, what is making me uncomfortable right now? And you know, you have to go further into that discomfort instead of running away from it.
Yeah, absolutely. So changing pace just a little bit. I want to say I understand that being able to practice mindfulness every day for some of our listeners is something that we all want to achieve, but it can actually be really hard when we're overwhelmed with work and other aspects of our life. So I want to take a quick second here to share with them a app that I highly recommend and that I think can help you be mindful every day. It's called Blinkist. It's actually the only app that takes the best key takeaways, which is like the need to know information from thousands of nonfiction books, and condenses them into just 15 minutes so you can read or listen to. It's really helpful for people that are busy and where you want to get the main points of the book quickly without having to read the entire book. And honestly, the audio feature is amazing because you can literally finish like four books a day while you're on the go. 8 million people are actually currently using Blinkist, and it has a massive growing library. I love using it. I think the audio feature is amazing. One of my books that I'm listening to now is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, who is amazing. And honestly, it would take me forever to get through one of the books just because it's so much wonderful information, but Blinkist helps kind of condense it down for me since I am just so kind of on the go with things. So right now, for a limited time, Blinkist has a special offer just for you Let's Talk About It listeners. You can go to Blinkist.com/Taylor to start your free 7-day trial. You know how many books you could read in 7 days? That could be a lot of content that you could be learning and being able to apply in your everyday life. Again, that's Blinkist, spelled Blinkist. Blinkist.com/Taylor to start your free 7-day trial. Again, guys, make sure to head on over to Blinkist.com/Taylor and get reading. Get back to that mindfulness. It's a new year. It can be a new you. But just wanted to get that little tangent out there, and we can kind of get back to the show now. So how have you experienced dating? I mean, I'm assuming that you're a heterosexual woman who is single and dating.
I'm actually queer. So you want to know what? I just came out as queer 4 months ago. This summer, actually. And so I've dated primarily men, and I still, I'm interested in men, but I'm also dating anyone. Yeah. I'm not gonna check any of those boxes off my dating app. But for sure,
you're as long as you're not a shitty person, I'll be interested in you.
Exactly. That's my sexual orientation. Yeah. Good-hearted people. Mm-hmm. That's such a better way to filter, right? Yeah. As a filter, if we could choose that. Yeah. But yeah, dating. Oh my God. This was also part of the book of examining chivalry. Right. And, coming from a place of being like, men don't have to, why would you have to pay for dinner? And why would you have to do these things? But then, and being like, why are men so weird about this? And then realizing I am reinforcing it. Yeah. Because I still expect it. Yeah. Right. Yes. Right. Yeah. Don't you still, if you were going to go on a date with a guy and you were good and you put down your credit card and he was like, okay, cool. Yeah. You got this.
So there have been times recently in the last few months, where in 2 different occasions, I'm primarily dating one person now, and we've had a lot of conversations around like finances and how, is this because it's expected of him, or is it because, almost like literally having a conversation of like justifying who's paying what and why. And it's a very uncomfortable conversation to have because even during it, it's like, oh, well, if we plan this visit, because it's long distance, am I just assuming and expecting that he's going to cover this flight? Because it's like, well, if you want to see me, then yeah, you're going to pay for my flight. And, it's like discussing that. And it's crazy because you get reinforced by so many other people around you that are like, oh, well, he's not going to pay for this. Or like, oh, well, if you're doing this, he should be covering everything. And it's like, well, let's examine why we think that.
Yeah. And why it makes you like, what happens? So this was a big aha for me was because I had literally a pattern of dating guys who would do like these grand, like they would like take care of me. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'm super independent. I'm super like this like bad feminist. I'm like loud. but I was going for guys who took control and took command and paid for everything. And I was like, why do I keep doing that? And so I decided actually this summer, I'm like, I'm gonna, and I was dating someone and I was like, I'm gonna make this an equal partnership. Yeah. And even though it's nice when this person pays and I feel like a little princess, I feel like he's taking care of me and I'm safe and blah, blah. Yep. I'm gonna, we were renting a house and I just Venmo'd him half of the money. Yeah. I didn't even say anything. And he didn't say anything for days. Like, he didn't even mention it. And then he was like, so are we going to talk about, I thank you, I guess. But also you really didn't have to do that. And in the end, what was really amazing for me was that I realized that when you make things equal financially, you make things equal in so many other ways in the relationship. And that in a way, having financial or economic control in a relationship, even though you're saying, I just like to do this for you, it just makes me happy. Yeah. There's like an assumption of like, well, I did all these things for you. I took you out to this thing. I paid for that. And then that you kind of owe them something, right? Yep. And it just, it's so sometimes implicit but it's so pervasive. And I realized that I was taking this on too. Like, I was taking on this power dynamic where I wasn't really saying what I needed, or I felt guilty about saying what I needed because there was this like, well, he did this for me. And I'm literally never going back. It was so nice. And so, this is very new to me though, and I'm like,
yeah, no,
31 years old.
No, I agree. I think for me, at least in this dating experience, is the first time that, I'm speaking about money in this way. And I think it's also of wanting it to be an equal partnership, of understanding that there may be times where I have more money than he does, and sometimes where he has more money than I do, and being able to take care of each other in a way that's not implicitly or explicitly enforcing this kind of power dynamic, because you're absolutely right. It leads to a lot of things being unsaid and assumed. And even, I think it's not to say that a man doing something nice for you automatically implies that you owe any kind of anything to him. But I think there's something very real that most women can relate to, that when you are treated in that way, that there is this feeling that you get of like, okay, I now feel like I have to return something. Yes. And it's really uncomfortable. Exactly. And it is very nice to be in a relationship and to date someone where you don't feel that. Where it's like, I don't owe you shit. I don't have to like repeatedly thank you after dinner because I paid for my portion.
Exactly. And so when you brought up money, was he receptive, or do you feel like he felt like his manhood was being challenged or whatever?
No. So for him, I mean, he maybe was more of a feminist in this conversation than I was even, where he was really kind of checking me on like, are you expecting that I'm paying for this because I'm the man? And just kind of flat out asked it like that. And it was a very difficult conversation. It was about purchasing a flight, that I had gone. He had asked me to come on the trip with him, and so I had paid for the one way, and then I was hoping that he would pay for the other way. And flights had ended up getting super expensive, and so then I was like feeling real stubborn and like entitled a bit, and being like, you delayed us knowing what date we were leaving, and so I feel like this is up to you now to cover this cost. And I came here to see you and all this stuff, and I like shut down in part of the conversation because I was just like, this makes me so uncomfortable, and like I wish. Part of me just wishes you would just say that you're going to pay for it so we don't have to keep talking about it, because it made me so uncomfortable. But it was a really good, helpful conversation, and it's very much changed the way that we now speak about finances in like a equal way. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Sometimes you just got to get through the discomfort, and then there's like a whole new world that opens up.
Oh, for sure. For sure. But I think it is very important to be aware of like where you're challenged in being a feminist. And I think finances is just one, but you brought up chivalry and how that's important to really look at. I'm really like proud in a way of you. I mean, I don't know you. I just met you just now, but I feel like
I feel like I've known you forever.
But I feel like very like proud of you that you've been able to kind of examine like in your interest and in your dating and like who you're going to connect with, and that it's not, you know, you really have to process this pain and these kind of negative feelings that you've had towards men as you've, you know, done all this work in this field. And I can imagine that that's like a lot to experience, and then to kind of realize, okay, you know, I think actually when I think about who I want to be in a relationship with, it's not it's not specific to their genitals.
Yeah, exactly. And examining my own fear around coming out was like, I told my family, and like, I'm so close to them. They literally know so much about me, and I never told them that. And I just felt like I was like, I'm telling everyone to be who they are. I'm telling LGBTQ rights matter. I'm like standing up for this, and I'm not doing it in my own life. And it was so exposing. Like the next day, I did it on a Sunday, and then I came into work, and I just felt like I was naked. Yeah. I literally was like, and people were kind of like, some people like putting their hands on my shoulders, like, Liz, that's so, and everyone was sweet. No one said anything inappropriate. I'm actually, I think it's so amazing how far we've come as a society. Like everyone was super respectful, super loving. But yeah, it was like, oh my God. Yeah. But it's been really nice. It's just felt really freeing. And again, it's like, it's so cool when you can see a way that, like, a box that you've been in and start seeing the walls, and then being like, wait, there's like a world outside of this. Yeah. And just exploring that, you know, is so freeing. Yeah. Whether it's with like chivalry or your like own sexual, you know, experiences.
Totally. Yeah. I always try to encourage people to like step outside of that fucking box. Like don't let society or your family or your friends or even yourself put yourself in a box, you know, allow yourself the space to explore all these different parts that could be you.
Yeah.
It's scary, but it's worth it.
Yeah, totally. But it's about having people like you too, to know that you are accepted, right? Yeah. is so important, and that you are not going to be judged, you're not going to be shamed, and that people will like sit with you in who you are, no matter who you are, and like accept that, is so that I at least, you know, was surrounded by people that I felt safe doing that with, and who were awesome about it.
No, that's super important to have, is just to have that community. And I think you're right, to have people kind of on a public platform encouraging that can be super helpful. Yes. One thing that I've seen you kind of promote a little bit in your page that I want to get into a little bit is big uterus energy. Can we talk about that?
Yes. It's so random. I love that it's become a thing. This summer, it's big dick energy was coined, or, you know, maybe had been coined before, but it became known because of Pete Davidson and Ariana Grande, R.I.P., their relationship and engagement. But basically, I just thought it was like such a funny internet trend, right? Yeah. And that big dick energy was like a gender neutral. Like The Cut did this article where they were like, NSYNC, like no big dick energy. Backstreet Boys, big dick energy. Like they just, you know, or like Michelle Obama, big dick energy. You know, it was just so cool. Yeah. And then it was announced that, you know, a Supreme Court justice retirement was happening. It was like the day after big dick energy happened. And everyone started freaking out, obviously. And then it was like, oh my God, Roe v. Wade is going to be overturned. We're all going to die. Women are going to be, you know, we're going back to like an era where we're like have no rights. And I was sitting, actually, I was on a book leave. I was sitting in this, like, my friends had a place in the Hamptons. So I was just like bumming around, and I was just sitting there, and I was like, I am so angry that we are like, this Supreme Court justice thing happened 2 days after big dick energy. Like, women didn't even get like 48 hours to enjoy big dick energy. And so I was like, we're gonna have big uterus energy then. Like, and big uterus energy was the quiet confidence that women are gonna vote these men out, like these awful Republicans out of office and reclaim their rights. And obviously that's what we saw in the, the midterm election was like this incredible moment in history. And I just tweeted that out, and then it, traveled. And then I had a friend who, Liran, is like a designer, and he was like, we should make, you should do something with this. And so we created a design and t-shirts, and then I, donated the profits to NARAL of those sales. And because like I knew that they would have to have a big fight ahead of them, and they did. And so, but then it just like took off, and I just think I'm happy it's resonated with people. I also always want to say it is a gender neutral term. You do not have to have a uterus to have big uterus energy. I say it to dudes all the time. I think that there are plenty of dudes around me who have a lot of big uterus energy. And I'm happy that it made people feel good.
Yes. Well, I hadn't seen it before because I obviously, yes, I had heard of big dick energy as that was very much out there. But it felt good to have some like representation, even though it may not be specifically gender specific, but to feel like it was something I could relate to a little bit more. It was like, this is nice. I can get down with this.
And we always say like the things that are associated with confidence and being a badass is like, you got balls. Like you got like, it's all male centric. And it's like, you like, don't be a pussy. Ovaries. It's stupid. Exactly. Being a woman is like women. I mean, people made this point over and over again, but like vaginas are not just self-cleaning, but also the strongest. I mean, like literally pound out human beings and create life. The uterus does. So it's like the most powerful, amazing, insane organ that we were all built in and came out of. So if there's one thing that's powerful and I want to be represented by, it would be the uterus. And it's big energy.
Absolutely. And it's honestly like it's a temple. Like your body is a fucking temple to be cherished and appreciated and to be kind to. And we're so like, we beat up our bodies so much, even just like emotionally. So I love the big uterus energy. And
I love that. I have to send you a t-shirt.
Yes, please do. Oh my God, that'd be amazing. That would be amazing. And as we've kind of talked a little bit about like covering the elections and the stuff that you're covering is like emotional. I mean, it's I imagine can be a bit taxing. Like I honestly can't follow as much news as I would like to because I'm just like I can't take it.
I mean, I feel the same way, and I have to. Like, it's my job, and I'm like, I don't want to watch the thing that I create, it's my job to be part of and create. So, wow. I mean, and talking about mental health, I was just talking to my therapist, and I was like, how many more people have you had, like, talk about Trump during, right? Or talk about this moment, politics in their therapy sessions.
And even just the Kavanaugh thing was very triggering for a lot of people.
I am so happy you said that because I actually recently, anyway, I've been, treated for, I experience a lot of anxiety. I've always had anxiety, and I've only recently sort of started addressing that and coping with that in different ways. And I had this moment where I was like, my doctor was like, I'm worried that you are depressed. Like, I think it might not be anxiety. I think and she just started talking about bipolar. Like, it was just like a lot. And I started asking myself, I was like, I've been really depressed since the fall. And then I started thinking back and I was like, it was since the Kavanaugh thing. Like literally the week prior to that, I was like, fired up. I was organizing. I was, meeting with people. I was reporting. And then that happened and like something just shifted in me. Like, when you just feel like you're not aligned, like your soul and your personality and your life, they're not like, you're not living your life. That's how I felt and I've only kind of recently come out of it. And I feel like, the election was a big turning point for a lot of people, and the new year, and like coming back and seeing, people talk with reason, and you kind of feel like there's adults in charge now, because it felt, it was triggering on a personal level, and on a level of, I'm very close to a lot of survivors, and seeing them seeing my friends and my family going through that too was really, really difficult. But there was a part of it that was also like, nothing I do will do I felt helpless. And as we know, feeling helpless, is one of the worst, ways that can lead to depressive thoughts, is that like, I don't matter. And we do matter, and one of my friends actually, while I was, struggling, was like, most of the people who have created change never lived to see it. And I thought that like gave me goosebumps. I thought about how activated people are and how engaged people are right now, and that they're spending their weekends at protests, and they're having book clubs and organizing at their, it's incredible. And it does matter, and it is working. And even if you don't see it right away, like, it's happening. And I think that's just an important reminder, I think, for all of us in this moment. Like, even though on the day-to-day can feel like, LOL, nothing matters, like, it does. And, in the end, like, Corinne doesn't win, it's just like, she actually doesn't. I'm so sorry to end with like a woman hating like comment. I wish you the best, Corinne. I really hope you found what makes you happy. And I don't wish anything evil on you.
Well, someone brought it up last night of, Sacha Baron Cohen's This Is America. Yeah. I don't know if you saw that. She made an appearance on there.
She did? Oh my God.
It was pretty bad, honestly. And the person talking to me was like, oh, like, how happy were you when you saw that? And I was like, honestly, not.
No,
like, that didn't make me happy.
Yeah.
Like,
because you're a good person. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just like, that's not, it's not the point, like, and I think, again, a lot of things were misconstrued on the show, and my intentions and where I actually stood on things. But, it certainly makes sense to, make that punchline. But at the same time, it's like, we don't necessarily want to see each other fail or be hurt or struggle.
No.
And I think there are some things that we can all kind of come together on. And I think that's part of what we're seeing kind of happen now, at least with women. I feel like there's certainly still some of that, like, women giving other women shit for stuff. But especially with Kavanaugh and kind of what you just talked about, where it did kind of send this message that, like, it doesn't matter. I'm still gonna get things done, and I can still, be the president or be a Supreme Court justice. And that can certainly make people feel really, really helpless. And I think it's important to remember that, like, just doing these small things and just talking about it does make a difference. Yeah. That's where, honestly, like, a big part of my self-care and taking care of my mental health has been distancing myself from the news a bit. I enjoy watching like your stories that you cover, because it doesn't feel as like it makes a point, and it's quick, and like I feel informed, but it's not like weighing me down, and it doesn't feel super heavy. But I can imagine being the one that's doing it, where it could be a lot heavier for you. But yeah, I think like, go ahead.
No, I love what you just said, and something that I've just been thinking a lot about as a person who creates news, but also, consumes news, is I feel like there's been a lot of attention paid to, okay, how do we get people to stay on pages longer, to share more things, to spend more time scrolling through their, feeds or whatever. There's no attention paid to how do people feel after they've consumed our news. Yeah. Are we making people more depressed? Are we like activating them to do bad things? Are we making them, want to turn it off and not turn it back on and be disconnected and numb themselves to what's going on? And something that I think is really important in the way that I craft stories, and that we, craft our stories with our producers, is like, it's solution-based journalism. Like, I want to end with like, here's the problem. We got to talk about the problem. Who's doing something about it? And what's the solution? And even if it's one fucking person and they're alone on a rooftop somewhere, whatever, let's go find them. Let's feature them. Even if they're 9 years old and like, they're just doing a writing campaign. People, like, I want to activate people to get involved and to know that they matter. Not that they don't. And I think that's how I felt in after the Kavanaugh hearings. And that is it of what I want people to leave with the kind of journalism, that I do. Yeah.
And you mentioned that that you are in therapy, and so you see a therapist, it sounds like, regularly. How else do you make sure that you're like taking care of yourself, and how do you kind of check in with your mental state and kind of where you're at?
I'm obsessed with Super Soul Sunday. If we're on a podcast right now and everyone needs to listen to your podcast, and then they need to listen to Oprah's podcast. Yes. It is really opened me up to, it's not just really interesting, the podcast, it's opened me up to new authors and to new people. And I've been reading, the Untitled Soul. And
oh my God. I literally have that book in my backpack right next to me.
There we go. It's changed. These books, these are books that have fundamentally changed my life. And I, practice meditation in the mornings, even when I don't want to. And when I was depressed, I did not do it regularly. But it's all about, I'm just trying to be more spiritual and to get in touch with my purpose on this planet. And to remember also that not just to think about what my service is and to focus on that. Like, what am I here? What am I here to give? And I feel like when I'm able to connect with that part of myself, it's amazing. And what's great about connecting with that part of myself is that I know it's easier for me to tell when I'm not. And the biggest thing in the Untitled Soul, right, is becoming an observer instead of being completely lost in your thoughts and in your life. And that to me has been, and it's a practice. That's kind of what I wish I had known too. Cause you'll read it once, you'll be like, holy friggin' shit. And then the next day you're like, you're upset because whatever. And it's a practice. It is like yoga. The first time you go to yoga, you can't do any of the shit. You're like, what? I'm never going to, and then just keep going. And you don't focus on the outcome. You focus on the practice. And some days you're like, this is totally bad. And other days wow, this feels awesome. And you just sit with that and you accept that. Surrendering.
I've literally had this book in my backpack. I've traveled with it. I have been in the process of reading it for almost 2 years.
It takes a long time. It's a lot.
I go back and I reread portions of it, and that, oh my God. I'm so glad that you brought up that point of being the observer of your thoughts, because on, for those of you familiar with Bachelor, Dean, I spoke with Dean about this, about, you are not your thoughts, you are the observer of your thoughts. And it was really hard to even explain, because he was kind of like, what are you talking about? Like, I disagree with you. Like, you are your thoughts. Like, that's, what else are you? You are the culmination of your thoughts and your actions. And I was kind of like, no. I was like, you should read the book, because it's hard to explain.
Dean, oh my God, I love Dean. Dean should totally read the book. Dean, but also I feel like Dean would totally get it if he, Dean has the potential.
No, for sure. If he read it, he would totally get it. And so I tried to explain it, that when you separate who you are from the thoughts that you're having, and when you sit in that place of the observer, you're not wrapped up in it all. You're not letting it consume you. You're not letting it drive your actions. And there's, I think
you're in control.
You have way more control. And And I think it helps lower levels of anxiety. It helps put things in perspective a little bit, and can be like a really empowering thing. Like there are definitely moments where I'm like, I feel super out of control, and then I'll take a step back and I'm like, Taylor, you're feeling a bit out of it.
Yeah. I mean, the description is like, right, you're looking at a storm, but you're inside, right? You're like, whoa, it's like hitting the window, and it's like, you can hear the wind, you can see it. It's all fucked up out there. Yep. The trees are flying, but you are inside, and you're able to be like, wow, there's a lot happening. And you're not denying. You're not saying like, look, it's so pretty outside. Look at the sun shining. You're like, holy shit, there's a storm, but like, I'm seeing it, right? I'm not in it. So, but it's a whole, you have to almost reread it. I mean, I feel the same way. I reread it, I underline things, and then I reread it again, and and that's what Oprah says about, the seed of the soul, and about so many of these books is like, you every time you reread it, you get something new out of it. So yeah,
that's amazing. I'm so glad that you, that we've been able to have this like Super Soul Sunday plug here, because I don't really know that anyone's ever brought it up on here, but
really, God,
it is amazing, and I'm so glad to hear that that's like part of your self-care and part of how you're like checking in with yourself, because I can only imagine how like emotionally draining some of what you do could be.
I mean, I can't. Again, your own journey, like that. You already knew a lot about mental health. You were guiding so many other people with their mental health, and what you went through and are going through is also like, it's a lot it's exposing. And
a lot of vulnerability hangovers.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Like Brene Brown.
Yep. My girl.
Brene. I mean, again, I've read all her books. It's embarrassing.
She's amazing. I love her.
She's great.
I would die for her.
Me too. Same. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Girl crush for sure.
She's great.
Wonderful. Yeah. I thank you for sharing like part of how you take care of yourself. I think that's always helpful for other people to kind of hear, because sometimes it's misconstrued as being something that's selfish, or that, it's, we need to just be busy, and there's so much to do. And, there's so many things happening that like we need to be involved in, and blah, blah, blah. But it's really important to take that time for yourself.
Yeah.
So.
And you know what? My sister helped me. My sister's a teacher, and she went to this like workshop, and has done a lot of, she's amazing. We like are both Super Soul Sunday nerds. And she told me this recently. She was like, we tell kids, you got to be nice to other people. You got to care for other people. You got to do nice things for, you got to volunteer. You got to give. And obviously that's true. You got to give, right? But if you don't give, like, when you give to yourself, all you want to do is share it with other people. Yes. Like, it's not even a duty, right? It's not even something that you have to tell yourself to do. And so self-care, has become this like whole, like getting it, because like self-care actually, if everyone did self-care, if everyone had compassion and kindness for themselves, they would just naturally be kind and compassionate more to other people. Yeah. And the entire fucking world would be different.
Yeah. Be a very different place. The way we would interact with each other would be very, very different.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, just picturing that beautiful world and what it would look like.
Possible. One person at a time.
Yes.
I mean, it's right. It's like one action at a time. And that's the thing about not feeling helpless. Like, smile at someone on the street. Yeah. Like, open a door for someone. Do one kind thing, and like, you'll feel different. And that's how we change the world, literally.
Yeah. One small step at a time.
Day
by day.
Yeah. It's corny. It's true.
It is so true. Thank you so much for like coming on and sharing like parts of your personal journey with all of this and good old Bachelor.
I know. I used it like 5 times this last 5 minutes. So
It all is a journey. But do you want to share again kind of where people can find you if they want to follow along with your journey?
Yeah. So I live on Instagram. My handle is Feminist Fabulous on Instagram. It's that on Twitter. I'm a lot more mad on Twitter and a lot less fun. And yeah, like our show comes out on Facebook Watch every Thursday, and my book will be out in the fall of 2019.
Woo-hoo.
So
I'm so excited.
Thank you. I'm excited. You're excited.
Yeah, no, that's like an amazing, like, I can't even imagine what kind of, like, to tackle writing a book. I mean, I've considered it at times, but I'm like, I don't.
Oh my God, please write a book. Please write a book. I mean, again, do it within your own, time and what you want to do. Don't like, I'm not forcing, but you have so much to contribute. No, you have so much to contribute and to give to others, and like, trust that.
Yeah. I mean, for now, I'm just going to talk a lot on here, but maybe one day a book, but very impressed with that and very proud of you for, putting all of that work in. I can't wait for that to come out. So I'll definitely be on the lookout for that in fall 2019.
Great. Well, thank you so much for having me on. It was so fun getting to meet you and talk with you. And I can't wait to keep following all of your awesome life all over the place, and this relationship with this person with equal partnerships and financials. I'm very excited.
Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And I'll put the links for your page so that you guys can all follow along. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Amazing. That does it for today's show, you guys. Thank you so much for listening. And again, huge thank you to Liz for coming on. Definitely did not disappoint. I am making us new best friends as of today. You guys should definitely check out the episode notes for the links to check out her page. And of course, I always love getting feedback from you guys and knowing what you guys are loving about the show. So if you guys could leave a review on iTunes, that would be wonderful. And any topics that you want to see covered, feel free to shoot over an email to ask.letstalkaboutit@gmail.com. And that does it for this week. So thank you guys, and I'll talk to you next time.
This podcast is brought to you by Wave Podcast Network. Check out all of our shows, including the Brain Candy Podcast, I Don't Get It, Babes and Babies, Coffee Convos, and Let's Talk About It.